Okay, so we are back to talk about another Jackie Chan film. Probably one I never thought I'd talk about. But today I sat down and I rewatched Shanghai Knights for the first time in 20 years. I think I'd only ever seen it the once when it came out, because obviously this came out in 2003. And I don't even know if we went to the cinema to see it. I think we just caught it when it aired on TV. I know we did see the first. We did see them chronologically. We saw Shanghai Noon first, and then Shanghai Nights. Although I don't think either of them was a cinema visit. But I gotta be honest, for a long time, I never really thought much of them. I mean, obviously, I love Jackie, but Owen Wilson, I've never been the biggest fan of. Um, And I always just had a bit of a mixed reaction, really. I mean, growing up, the introduction for me, and I suppose for a lot of other people over here in Rush Hour, of course, Rush Hour, and obviously at the time there was only the first two films. We then went to the cinema to see Rush Hour 3. But yeah, so watched Rush Hour and Rush Hour 2 with my dad, and then subsequently watched Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights. Um, Obviously, it's only been in recent years when I've gone back and delved into Hong Kong Jackie Chan, you know, which is obviously the golden age. But I was just recently, I've just been thinking, because it's, just I adore Jackie, I absolutely do. So you think, well, it's all love, isn't it? So let's go back and rewatch some stuff. And I went back not so long ago and rewatched Around the World in 80 Days. Now, would you believe that was one that we actually did go to the cinema to see? So if I got it right, that was the year after Shanghai Nights. So let's have a look at the timeline here. I mean, what Shanghai Noon was 2000, so that was right on the millennium. And then what Rush Hour was 2001. Then I think was it the Tuxedo? I remember watching that. That was on Sky Movies a hell of a lot. That and Bulletproof Monk. Yeah, Tuxedo was 2002, and then Shanghai Nights was 2003. I think I've got that right. And then Around the World in 80 Days was 2004. Honestly, going back and rewatching Around the World in 80 Days, because that's on YouTube, you can watch it with ads. Again, it's not a great film. It's got great moments in it, and obviously you've got so many great faces that show up in it. But it's got a real nice feel good thing about it. For me, you might be able to guess what the chunk of the movie where they go to China and Jackie goes back to his home village, and we have the great fight sequence that takes place there. And then Samo shows up, and we get Jackie and Samo on screen together again. That was the highlight of the film for me there. And again, that whole sequence that he has, the whole action set piece that takes place there, that is real highlight. Some real cool stuff, and you even get like a Young Master reference, don't you? Because he has the fight with the bench, the wooden bench. So it was just there's great stuff in there. And then, it kind of got me in the mood for like early 2000s Jackie Chan, and I'll say this much. I have a whole new appreciation for Around the World in 80 Days, because that was another one my dad and I went to see at the cinema, and we never really thought about it anymore after that. We never rewatched it. I mean, there was stuff I remember, like obviously he was going to forget Arnie's cameo as Prince Happy. Jesus Christ. The forerunner, or the prelude to what we would get in the Iron Mask. And there was even stuff that it jumped out. Like, they have a whole thing, with this statue. No, don't touch this. And they bring the same joke back in the Iron Mask. And I was thinking, is that? And I was just thinking, is that supposed to be a callback? I wouldn't put anything past the Iron Mask. That is a crazy as hell movie, and I love it. But yeah, and also Jim Broadbent in that movie. He's in a totally different film to everyone else. He's just acting. He's hamming up a storm in Around the World in 80 Days. He's one of the most memorable things that I had about the film. I'm just trying to think. So there's the Arnie cameo, there was Jim Broadbent and whatever he was doing in that. Of course, Kathy Bates showing up at the end as Queen Victoria, John Cleese's random cameo, and then just in terms of things that actually happen in the movie, that was always buried in there. You know, towards the end, like the end fight, where Steve Coogan goes to throw him his cane, and just yeah, for some reason that was lodged in there. I don't know why. But yeah, that was a feel good movie. But then I was thinking, okay, because I made the mistake of going back and rewatch. Well, I'd never seen it all the way through. I'd seen bits of it, but the Medallion, because my dad really liked Lee Evans, and obviously I really like him too. But I always remember growing up, there was a time when I remember my dad watching it on TV. It's like, oh, a Jackie Chan movie, and Lee Evans is in it. Because obviously Lee Evans, of course, the other one my dad liked was Mouse Hunt with Lee Evans and Nathan Lane. So obviously that was an interesting pairing, Lee Evans and Jackie Chan. I don't know. I mean, do you know what? There's some cool stuff in there. And then it goes off the rails when he gets the medallion powers, and they have that god awful fight. Um, who is the? I always forget the actor's name. Is it? It's in here. It'll be in here somewhere. But you know the main villain of the medallion. Was he even in one of the seasons of 24 as well? Obviously he has that wonderful British villain kind of accent. It's in here somewhere. You know what I mean. But they have that fight that takes place in the forest, and it's god awful. Because they both turn into superheroes. So any kind of we were getting some cool stuff early on, like the whole sequence in the shipyard. And obviously Samo worked on the choreography for it, didn't he? And you have a really young Scott Adkins in there as one of the heavies, and he even has a moment with Jackie Chan. I always remember Scott Adkins telling the story. You know, he was a bit nervous working with Jackie, and obviously, you know, these fight scenes, how into it should we get? Because obviously, fair enough, we might connect, and you know, but how hard should we go? And obviously, he always tells the story. On the one hand, he's got Jackie's guy saying, "Be very careful." So I was like, okay. And then you have a go. And then you've got Samo yelling from behind the camera, "Hit him harder!" So then Scott Adkins is like, I don't know what to do. But yeah, the medallion's a disappointment, man. And John Rhys Davies off the success of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you know. He shows up in it he's only in it for a minute, I think. And then he's gone. Must have been a real quick turnaround for John Rhys Davies. But John Rhys Davies, he's always been one of those actors. He's always just been happy to be there, whatever he's working on. So yeah, the early 2000s Jackie Chan films are a bit of a mixed bag, aren't they, to say the least. And then Tuxedo was fun. And obviously you get the wonderful Jason Isaacs at the beginning of it. But yeah, Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Knights. Now you're thinking, well, you've said you've just gone back and rewatched Shanghai Knights today. Did you by any chance go back and rewatch Shanghai Noon? And I haven't yet. So you think, well, what? But I wanted to go to Shanghai Nights because obviously, I was going and looking it back up, and I was thinking, oh, Donnie Yen's in it. We get Jackie and Donnie Yen. so we're gonna have the big fight between it. So I was wanting to watch. That's why I went to Shanghai Nights, because I wanted to see the Donnie and Jackie Chan fight. But honestly, I had a blast with this. It was. I really, really. Again, these are not great films, but the fun popcorn munchers, and you come away with a real feel good. Imagine that. A movie that's just designed to entertain. And that's what a lot of Jackie Chan's films are, aren't they? If we're going to be honest. I mean, like, I've pretty much definitively. I'm happy to say that my favourite Well, is it a Jackie Chan movie? It's really Sammo Hung's movie. But Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars and Dragons Forever, they're a companion piece for me, you see. I want, like, you've got Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, and I always view Dragons Forever as like the unofficial but spiritual sequel. I mean, like say Jackie Yuen Biao, Sammo Hung, they're in both of them, and you've got a lot of carryover in people who in one or in the other, and Sammo directs both. Well, along with Corey Yuen, obviously. Corey Yuen, the wizard that he is behind the scenes, behind the camera, even though he's always great in front. But yeah, they're probably my two, go to. I kind of look at them as a companion piece, and then of course you got Police Story. But yeah, Jackie's films have always been light. I mean, I did get around to watching Miracles, or if you prefer, Mr. Canton and Lady Rose. And I've got to admit, that is a remarkable piece of filmmaking. You can see that Jackie was really trying to level up there. So I think that's an example that stands out of like, okay, this isn't just, you light easy breezy. You can see Jackie's trying to flex his muscles as a filmmaker here. And we have that wonderful montage in Miracles, which is set against Anita Moy's song and dance number. And still to this day, one of the most incredible shots, where the camera pans, and they must have had it on a camera, it must have been a crane shot, because it just goes from like Anita Moy, and it just, it just, the movement of it, it's a wonderful, wonderful shot, this crane shot, it's beautiful. But it's just, Miracles is, I think, deserves always to be mentioned as something special in amongst Jackie's filmography. But yeah, obviously, Shanghai Nights is very much just one of those examples of a light, easy breezy. And also, more so Shanghai Noon. I know for a long time it was a passion project of Jackie. He always talked about that was his dream, doing like a western with the East meets West. So obviously we get more of that in the Shanghai Noon, because that's set in the West. Obviously in this movie we go to New York, and then ultimately on to London. But it's always nice to see that this was something that Jackie was really passionate about, because we all know that obviously Jackie never really knew what to make of Rush Hour. Obviously he did it and it was a tremendous success for him, but obviously he never really got it. That's obviously why as soon as he'd finished work on Rush Hour, he went straight back to Hong Kong and did Gorgeous, which Gorgeous again, that's another one that's up there for me. I think Gorgeous is a wonderful film. It's a really lovely film, that one. But obviously, to Jackie's surprise, Rush Hour was this tremendous success, and of course, it's fair to say if it wasn't for the success of Rush Hour, probably wouldn't have got the Shanghai films. And yeah, this was great going into it. Again, I was just going into it ultimately to see Jackie and Donnie together. Now, obviously, Donnie Yen is very much in a supporting role. Of course, the main big bad of the film is Aidan Gillen, the wonderful Irish actor. One of those that guy actor. He's in all different things. Over the years, he's been in so many different things, but often does play a villainous character. Was he in one of the Maze Runner films? I always remember that trailer because he has that line where he just, "You'll never survive a day in the scorch." I was like, oh, it's him. Yeah, but he's a lot of fun in this. He's been, often in these films, very cartoony villains. We get elements of that here. He's hamming it up. He's having fun. He's chewing some scenery. But yeah, ultimately the plot in this, I did make some notes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But so this is about 2 hours with credits included, just shy of 2 hours. But we get through quite a lot in that time. So the main elements of this plot. So the film starts with Aidan Gillen killing Jackie Chan's father in China, who's played by Uncle Benny from Lethal Weapon 4. So Jackie Chan's father is the guardian of the Imperial Seal. So Aidan Gillen and his heavies rock up, kill Jackie Chan's dad, steal the Imperial Seal, and then we're also introduced to Jackie Chan's younger sister at the beginning, played by Fan Wong. So she takes off in hot pursuit. She's planning on obviously killing Aidan Gillen, getting revenge for her dad, and then of course getting the Imperial Seal back. But then of course she sends a message to her brother, Jackie. She's going to need a bit of help. And then that's where the ball gets rolling. Jackie goes to New York to find Owen Wilson, and then they go on to London to, rejoin with his sister and go and save the day. So, and then it's ultimately revealed there's a huge conspiracy between Aidan Gillen and Donnie Yen's character. Donnie Yen wants to be the emperor, so Aidan Gillen's very kindly stolen the Imperial Seal for him. Here you go, Donnie. You can lay claim to be the emperor now. And then Donnie's going to help Aidan Gillen, because wouldn't you know it, his character, he's 10th in line for the throne. So then there's a larger plot to assassinate the royal family. So, there's a whole lot of stuff going on that Jackie and Owen Wilson have stumbled into. But they've got to save the day, they've got to save the royal family, and they've got to recover the Imperial Seal. And along the way, we also take care of the Jack the Ripper problem that's going on at the time in Whitechapel. And we create Sherlock Holmes. We also discover Charlie Chaplin. And we launch John Wayne's acting career. And that's all accomplished in just shy of 2 hours. So there's a lot packed into this. And again, got a lot of people, it's got a cool cast. Obviously, you got Jackie and Owen Wilson. They've got a really good dynamic together, Obviously, Aidan Gillen's a lot of fun. Donnie's great, even though it would have been nice to have had more of him in here. We get a really scarily young Aaron Taylor-Johnson. You want to feel old. You see how young Aaron Taylor-Johnson is in this movie, but again, very, very good. He's very, very charming in this. Got a great energy. Very, very good at what he's given to do, and he's a legitimate supporting character in this as well. And then we get some real little appearances. Obviously, we've got Uncle Benny at the beginning as Jackie Chan's dad. And then obviously when we see Queen Victoria and the royal family at the end, it's Bridget Jones' mum who plays Queen Victoria. So Jackie's ticked both boxes there. He has a run-in with Bridget Jones' dad in Around the World in 80 Days. And then he meets the mum here in Shanghai Knights. But this film's a lot of fun. There's some, again, wonderful, wonderful sequences. Obviously, the fight between Jackie and Donnie is great. I just wish, because it's quite short-lived, actually. It's not a long fight, but, I was just happy we got what we got. And then, obviously, Donnie Yen meets a pretty explosive ending, which is pretty fabulous. And then the final showdown with Aidan Gillen, which is fine because Aidan Gillen's presented as the main villain of the piece, so the big fight at the end would be with him, and it's a real cool sword fight, really. And again, that was a wise move because I think it would have been easier to teach someone sword choreography rather than expecting to present Aidan Gillen as a legitimate threat in hand to hand combat. It's like, what? Aidan Gillen's going to outfight Jackie? No. Whereas with a sword, you could say, okay, well, Aidan Gillen has the legitimate advantage. He's the skill. They establish he's one of the premier swordsmen. Um, so okay, believable threat. The sword fight's cool as well. It's good. And also taking place in in a clock tower in Big Ben clock tower. So maybe some references to Project A going on there, which is cool. But also another thing I'd like to spotlight as well. They have a wonderful, shortly after they arrive in London. There's a wonderful fight that takes place in the street. It's a lot quite a lengthy sequence, like a mixture of fights and chasing and all that good stuff. But there's a moment in the fight or particular sequence. We'll call it the umbrella fight, and it's wonderful. In a lot of ways, that for me is the highlight of the film. The umbrella fight sequence it's spectacular, really. The creativity on display, the skill, the time and effort that must have gone into it. It's a really wonderful sequence. And obviously they even reference singing in the rain, which is a lot of fun. But you can see, this is the stuff that Jackie loves. You know what I mean? Um, and it just makes me think over the years, what a missed opportunity to have had Jackie. We could have had Jackie doing a musical, doing like a whole song and dance thing. Because I really, Jackie's a really good singer as well. I really like a lot of his songs. So being able to have seen him do a full song and dance number and do a full on musical, because obviously, you know, is impressive choreography. On it's essentially the same principle, isn't it? It's like a dance. So being able to have seen that, that's probably one of the greatest things to have never happened. But I think it's one of the things that Jackie would have loved to have done, because you can see he's very, he's got a love for that sort of stuff. But we get flavours of it, and this is a prime example of it here. It's a really wonderful scene. Um, I just also wanted to take a moment to talk about how gorgeous Fan Wong is. She is incredibly sexy in this, and I'll spotlight that whole dream sequence that Owen Wilson has, which comes out of nowhere. And holy Christ, Fan Wong in that sequence, she comes like, crawling across the bed like a cat, and she's practically purring. And very scantily clad. You get an interesting shot, cleavage shot, which is much appreciated, and pulls out the Kama Sutra, and she licks. Licks Owen Wilson's face. She doesn't get round to any other part of his anatomy, but when you think this is working, this is very sexy. It's very erotic. But then there's part of me thinking, hang on a second, this movie's supposed to have a 12A certificate, so this is going to have to cool it. But it's quite effective, and that's one of the things. This film has a really good sense of humor about itself, and it's not afraid of being sexually charged in moments. Case in point, but also it's a nice time capsule in, like, remember the early 2000s when you could still have fun, because you got obviously that scene where Jackie, when they attend one of the royal events and they go in disguise, and Jackie's disguised as a Maharaja, and he's doing the head bobble thing, and you think, do you remember when you could just laugh at stuff? The early 2000s were great, weren't they? But yeah, what a blast this was. Again, it's Amazon. They're having Amazon Prime Day at the minute. I think it's running for a couple of days, and they're having some deals. And they just so happened to have Shanghai Knights. You could buy it and keep it on digital for basically a fiver. So I thought, well, let's take the plunge and get it. Glad I did. Had a lot of fun going back and watching that today. So I just wanted to talk a bit about it, and it's kind of had elements of a broader discussion of early 2000s Jackie Chan films. And obviously never like to pass up an opportunity to mention some of the classics, like you say, Police Story, Dragons Forever, and Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. You might say it's my holy trinity of Jackie Chan movies. But yeah, really enjoyed going back and revisiting this one. And I'll get round to doing Shanghai Noon. That's another weird thing as well, because the reference, obviously, at the beginning of this, the reference Lucy Liu's character from the first film. But from what I can gather, they didn't even talk about the possibility of her coming back for this one, which, I mean, she was busy at the time, because obviously, 2003, so we first Kill Bill, and I think they were doing the second Charlie's Angels, so maybe it might have been a scheduling thing, or I don't know if she was even asked. I'm sure she would have come back if she was asked, because she always talks fondly of memories of working with Jackie Chan and of that film, Shanghai Noon. But hey, you know, I mean, Fan Wong, she fills in admirably. That wraps this up. Again, please feel free to share your thoughts. I'll have to see if, because I don't think they've done, or they might have done a Blu-ray set, but it's gone out of print, I think. I think they did a double pack of Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Knights. I don't think it was anything like a collector's edition or something. I think it was like a pretty bare bones basic release, but obviously the work that Arrow and Eureka and 88 Films have been doing over the years, you know, re-releasing a lot of the, well, Jackie's Hong Kong classics. And obviously we're getting the breakout hits from Arrow that was imminent. It would be cool if one of the labels was eventually able to do something with Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights. And again, even Rush Hour, you know, again, it might be a bit of a remote possibility, but if they could eventually get round to it, it'd be great. But we'll have to just see. There's wonderful things happening all the time from these boutique labels, so never say never. But it was great going back and revisiting this. Thank you for listening to me talk about it. I do really appreciate it. And please feel free to share your thoughts as well. But just a real nice time capsule of what we had. And just seeing Jackie having so much fun, and it's just the feel good of it all. It's great. It really, really is. So thank you for listening to me ramble. Hope you've enjoyed it. And again, hey, if it's given you the inspiration to go back and revisit, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.